Well, that was awkward. Let me redo my joke from the beginning, guys. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Getting Drunk and Ranting About Israel. That's not what we're doing today. I just dripped this on myself. That's not what we're doing today. What I was saying before my microphone started working is that I actually have a whole list of topics prepared, and we're going to be talking about some happier, more lighthearted stuff instead of the negative, terrible stuff in the world. Actually, there is some stuff on here that is kind of awful to talk about, like Diddy getting 50 months, bro. What's up with that? Diddy, let's look this up. Let's get the freaking podcast rolling. Let's actually see what we're doing here. Let's see. We have this is just my channel. I just want to make sure this is going. Yeah, it's going. We got the live stream going at least. What is this? So Diddy got 50 months. He got acquitted of all of the really bad charges. Where is it? I have it written in here. So he was charged with 2 convictions related to the transportation of individuals across state lines for prostitution. So you can't. Prostitution is legal in some places in the United States. It might just be Nevada. I really don't know. But he engaged in moving those people across state lines for prostitution, I guess, or moving. Maybe it doesn't have to do with where it's legal, but he transported people over state lines to pay them to do sexual acts, which is illegal and can land you in jail. He got a $500,000 fine. What I don't understand, 2 convictions, right, related to transportation of individuals. It must have been a lot of individuals if he's getting $500,000 or $500,000 fine for this. He was acquitted of any racketeering or sex trafficking or conspiracy charges, which just sucks because we all know he did it. And another thing that's worth noting that I have written down here is that he was credited 13 months because he's been in jail since September of 2024. So he basically gets a jump start on his sentence. Listen, guys. His lawyers are going crazy. They're like, we don't want this guy. Like, we don't want this guy to have a regular prison sentence. We want to put him somewhere like safer because they know he's gonna get whacked. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. The Epstein of the music industry, right? Like, this guy. I mean, the thing is, you can say, oh, whatever. Like, everybody knows that he did it, and then he, but we don't know for sure. But like, this is a case where like all signs kind of point to him being guilty of everything that he's suspected of being guilty of. But he got acquitted because the legal system kind of sucks. And this is another thing that I was thinking about when I was saying, oh, let's talk about Diddy on the podcast for a little bit, right? It's a current event. A lot of people from all over, like, you don't even have to be super informed on pop culture or even know anything about pop music or music in general to have heard about this story because it's crazy. Let's see, where was I going with that? So he spent a lot of money to get lawyers to help acquit him of these charges. And it kind of sucks that that's the way things work because it's great that if you're smart enough or a hard worker enough, you can gain the legal skills to get basically anybody out of trouble, or you can pay, you've worked hard or whatever, and you made all this money and you can do all this stuff. That's the opportunity that they talk about. But on the other side of it, you can basically play the entire game. It kind of sucks because the more far along you get in the game, the better you get at playing it. And with all these laws and things, I mean, it's all just about loopholes. And, you can exploit a loophole or a lack of regulation or something for a good amount of time before, the government puts the kibosh on it because they actually need to be made aware of it. And then it needs to work its way up the docket to actually be something they care about. So any of these exploitive, strategies or things that can get people out of charges like this, which one of the big things is just having a lot of money. It really sucks. I think I remember reading somewhere that back in the day, they used to like have, I don't know, basically they would have like a Town of Salem style procedure where you would just vote people that everybody was like, no, like you get bullied out of the society or excommunicated because you're just a jerk or people don't like you. I think it speaks to the importance of being able to get along with people. I don't like being pushed around or being told that I'm wrong about things, but when it comes down to it, you got to know your place, you got to play your role, and you got to respect other people. If you're playing a team sport like football or whatever, don't be a ball hog and like just take it and like neglect your teammates because you need their help. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to be somebody like Diddy who does all this kind of stuff, he's basically kicked out of society. But he'll slowly ease his way back in like they all do, where, and this is a very cynical take. I don't want people to come out of this with a negative feeling, because there are a lot of good things in the world, especially if you look closer to your like interpersonal circle. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sucks that we can't just forcibly make a decision to push him out. He has to kind of, serve his little head down, sad little sentence in prison, and then he gets out, just kind of lays low, and 15 years people kind of forget. This also kind of speaks to another aspect of human history that I've kind of been thinking about, where, the generations go by, and, if you never ask your grandparents what it was truly like to live in the time that they did, that's just like lost knowledge. And that you have to have a really curious younger generation of people and a really good at explaining older generation of people. This is why I think it's important to make art and to try to pass on knowledge and wisdom in ways that aren't just like, textbooks or whatever. But my point is that in a generation or two, there's so much that gets forgotten about the way things, are. The whole history is told by the victors is a very like easy way to sum up that whole thing. But it's a little deeper than that. It's just the fact that like, people just, I don't know, as the generations go by, there's just a lot that gets left, up for debate. I think I heard Isaac Asimov say that, science and math are for sure. History is just out the window. It's all just up in the air opinions. And I guess that's why some people choose not to look into history. But I think it's cool because I like to try and figure out some semblance of what it was like, because it's next to impossible, especially when we have like world-ending events and libraries burning down and people forcibly trying to change history, manipulate the education system or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Just have a good family, man. That's the importance of a family. And that's my little spiel on that for the day. To move into something more positive, I got a pet turtle, and I have a picture of him right here to show you guys. So here he is. His name, and this is a woman's name, but to be truthful with you, I don't know whether this is a male or a female turtle. But this is Myrtle the turtle. He's sitting in my kitchen, and this is his food right here. He has not been eating his food. Well, I mean, he's been eating his food sometimes. I don't know. He's still adjusting to the new environment, and he seems to be enjoying himself. He's spending time in and out of the water. Apparently, he likes to root around under the rocks. I was asking my mom if I was doing something wrong. I was like, he's like really, I'm like, should I stack up more rocks on this side of the tank? Because I have a light right above him. Because he keeps moving the rocks and like flattening it out and hiding under there. And my mom's like, no, like he just likes to do that, because she had this turtle for a while before me. So I guess Myrtle's personality is a little explorative. I don't know, but that's a good turtle face right there. Looks like a painted or what, yellow-eared, what is it? I think it's like a backyard slider or a yellow-eared slider. I know a red-eared slider is one, or a pond slider. That's what this guy is. I'm pretty sure he's a pond slider. But yeah, feeding him good turtle food. I don't know what this is in the background. This is out my window. Is this no, I don't know. This is just an interesting reflection. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this turtle. I also have not been paying attention to live chat. What's new, guys? That's like one of my worst habits is not paying attention to the live chat. I'm gonna open it up on my other monitor. Let's see. Oh no, don't want to hear myself. Nothing that I see in the live chat. Open panel. Yeah, is it even loading? YouTube has been very interesting lately, where actually Wi-Fi in general, I don't know if you guys have been experiencing this like I have, but yeah, I have been having really bad connection on my Wi-Fi and my cellular. And did we get like attacked by like a foreign government or something? And like they're trying to take out our Wi-Fi cellular signals subtly. I don't know, but I've been in a very conspiracy mindset. So currently, I'm inclined to say yes, but my intelligent human brain is saying, don't be a schizo man. Next topic. We are going rapid fire on the topics today. That's because this is not going to be a super long podcast. I'll tell you about my day. So I worked from home today. I had a good amount of stuff to work on. I was supposed to work on this video today, but I could not find where the files were. I realized it was on this crappy flash drive that's like very messed up. Some of the footage was corrupted, so I didn't get really a big chance to put it together. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that I get to do like similar to YouTube type of stuff for work. I'm not going to totally reveal details about my job because I've heard horror stories about people getting in trouble with crazy people on the internet. So if you are a crazy person on the internet, please just talk it out with me, man. No need to go crazy. I also went to rugby practice. We got a game Sunday. Running into people. I'm kind of slowly getting it. I know I'm not. It's my first season doing it, so I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not gonna be a rugby star or anything, but it's fun, and I don't know. I'm optimistic about how I'm doing. Also, I'm gonna ask if you guys like this purple background behind me. These are lights that I bought with the intention of putting them behind my TV. Then I ended up putting my TV in my bedroom, and then these just kind of sat in the living room where the TV used to be, and now I brought them in here. And I want to put up some vinyls on this wall right here. I think putting up like music vinyls would be cool. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I think that'd be pretty sick. My live stream is open in a mini player, dude. You guys use Opera GX at all? I feel like such a gamer. Another thing I wanted to talk about, a serious thing I wanted to talk about was adult cartoons and just which ones are good or bad or I don't know, worth anything. Let's just do, well, I know, first of all, we could talk about South Park, but yeah, okay. What? Like, why is it bro? South Park, this one, South Park it's definitely like, it's not infallible. I actually made a video essay about how South Park was really good at criticizing Gen Z. And I haven't watched that in a while, but I remember it being like a fun project to do. And I've watched South Park a lot of my life. And some of it is really good. Some of it gets a little old. Like, I think during, like, their stuff when they talk about politics can get a little old. Like, not the newer stuff. I haven't really seen much of the newer stuff except for like 1 or 2 episodes of the new season, and I thought it was funny. But when they were doing the Hillary versus Trump stuff and the Tegrity Farms, like, some of that got a little old. But like, I don't know. That's just a phase the show is in, and you gotta constantly evolve if you want to stay relevant. Or perhaps not, because another thing I was going to talk about was the fact that Family Guy, I've been watching a lot of Family Guy lately, and it's like way funnier than I never really watched it a lot in the past. I did watch like Family Guy clips on like TikTok when that was popular a couple years ago, maybe like 2 years ago or so, or 3. But Family Guy, like, I was just watching it, man, and it was funny. Like, it was really, really funny. The one thing that bothers me a little bit is like the overly cynical comments, but like that's just part of the show, and a lot of the times it does have a point. Like, oh, Brian, you're just like a stereotypical atheist who like, is miserable and has repressed feelings and uses your entitlement to like mask your, trauma or your insecurities, whatever, stuff like that, where it's like, yes, technically true, but like a little over the top and a little too on the nose sometimes. But again, I could say criticisms about South Park too. Family Guy, I was laughing a lot when I was watching it the other day. It was the episode where Evil Stewie shows up. Like, it was like, I don't know, dude. Evil Stewie was just going over the top and just violently destroying everything. I hope none of this is like too violent to have on a live stream, but like, yeah, he just straight up kills people, blows people up, shoots them. It's like, it's hilarious. And there was one where Meg fell in love with Joe, and she like broke her leg. She got in a car accident and broke her legs, and she's like, now we can be the same. Now we can be together forever. And it was just like, it was just funny. I don't know. Like, it's like dumb funny, but it's legitimately funny too. South Park is like smart funny. Only intellectuals understand South Park. No, it's like relevant enough for like anybody to, to laugh at it. And they have really been going hard into the trends again. South Park was always pretty topical, not like necessarily always, but like there were some things that it would reference, like little niche things or little like popular pop culture things. They're kind of coming back around to that. I know they did a thing with 6-7. I know they did a thing with all the Trump, Epstein, JD Vance stuff, obviously. But what was the other thing? Labubu's. I know they talked about that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're really on the nose, and they're getting good. They're getting good reception, but at the same time, like dunking on like an unpopular political person like Donald Trump or JD Vance or whatever. It does kind of bring in some of the dogs, the people who just kind of watch your thing because they agree with it or relate to it, not necessarily because they appreciate it. But again, you need to go through waves. You need to have a balance. You need the dogs who will come and pile on and fangirl all over your stuff. And then you need the cats who will criticize you and keep you on your toes and add some value to your product. Because if it's something that's accessible to everybody, then it stops becoming necessarily unique, or it becomes a little too safe. You're never going to be able to sell one thing to everybody. And if you do, it's like changes the world. Like think about the iPhone, or computers. But again, those are technologies. Those aren't necessarily like products. And if you look at it, no, like iPhones, it was a smartphone. It's a thing. Like, you could be your own company and sell your own smartphones, but to overtake Apple is a big, it's a big, hard thing to do, especially when they have like such a domination over the market, culturally and like in sales. I guess they're a $3 trillion company, like maybe a year or two ago when I looked. I don't know. But I also wanted to talk about The Simpsons too. So I have South Park open. Oh, let's see. Simpsons. I'm sorry, but I've seen some of The Simpsons lately, and it just sucks. I don't want to bandwagon here, but people have criticisms about Marge's voice actor saying that she just doesn't have it anymore. I don't necessarily see that as a problem because over time characters' voices do change. But they're like, oh, this is like a sign of the times, whatever. Like it's not, to me, I don't really care about the animation or the writing unless it's Big Mouth. Or the writing, geez, no. What I was going to say was I do care about the writing. I don't care about the voice acting or the animation too much. Unless it's like, for some reason, Big Mouth just like does not, like, it just makes me cringe. And I think part of it is because a lot of people in high school watched it and got really twisted perceptions about like, all of the subjects in the show, because it's made for people who actually understand those topics like puberty and like, sexual reproduction and whatever. But the people who were watching it didn't have a mature understanding of that. And I didn't, to sit there and say, oh, I'm a high schooler. Oh, like, again, like I'm not sitting on a high horse saying that, but I'm just saying, like, retrospectively looking back on it, it makes sense that I just didn't like that people were becoming educated by this show that was made to like satirize the whole thing. But whatever. It's a popular show. I'm not here to judge people's opinions on shows. I'm here to judge the shows themselves, I guess. And then you guys take my opinion, and maybe you can leave a hate comment if you disagree with me. But The Simpsons animation is fine. It's whatever. It's got like that classic look. But like, I watched the Treehouse of Horror where they were talking about cryptocurrencies, and it was so cringe, dude. I could not like. I listened for a short amount of time, and then I just couldn't. I had to go on my phone. It was like. It was, I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it was like, look here, guys, it's the blockchain. And it's like, it's kind of like how Inside Out has like the train of thought, but it's like way more stupid and like, and it's just lazy. Like, come on. The writing is the superior thing. That's my thing, is like, if I feel like it's smart, it's made by people who care about it. It's, they didn't cut corners. Maybe if they did it in a, in a logical way. Their quality is up. I'm taking marketing right now in school for my master's. I'm taking a marketing class, and they asked us to talk about certain terms like, products and customers and things like that. And one thing that I kept finding myself reiterating was that you need to actually have value in your product. There needs to be something of value there. And the better that value is, or the more legitimate that value is, the longer your product's going to go for. Oftentimes, it's kind of like an inverse thing where the fleeting high-value things will get you more immediate sales, like going on trends. it's like what's hot, like Labubu's, for example. Yo, what up, bro? Eli, with what, you have a crown, bro? You gave me 50 bits, 50 or 25 XP. I don't know what that means, but hell yeah, dude. I appreciate it. Well, we got 3 people in the stream right now. This is sick. Yeah, I don't really remember. I was just ranting about how TV shows need to actually have something of value. If you're going off of trends, you need to have like a lot going, and you need to make sure you're on top of the trend so you can constantly capture that. But at the same time, your identity is caught up in these trends, in this idea of pop culture. It's not like its own thing, If The Simpsons just introduced a new character and just fleshed out the Simpsons world, it's like, oh, cool. Like there's actually things to get invested in here. It's not just reiterating the same trends I'm seeing covered in every podcast and every commentary channel and every news thing and every talk show and every, it's like, it just gets old, I pick a few people to listen to about trends and things like that. And that's about it. Like, if I see a YouTuber that I really like talking about something that I've already heard 3 other people talk about, I'm just not going to click on it. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's another adult cartoon in here that, Rick and Morty. I have not seen Rick and Morty, but my opinion on that is that after they did after they started getting more bigger narratives, like less about the episodic and more about the like overarching story, it became a lot less interesting to me. Just because, like, I like and this is another big topic that I did not put on the topic list for today, but this is something that I really, really want to talk about, and this is something that I would do a YouTube video on, and that is just science fiction in general, where it came from. Yeah, Eli just said in the chat, shout out editor Eli, by the way. Last week we did a podcast together, so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. Also, sub to BBC Vlogs. I heard they might have a new video on the way. Rick and Morty first season's worth is or first 3 seasons worth. Yeah, the first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty were great. 4 and 5 I don't really remember too much. But it's this science fiction format. Look at all of these classic science fiction shows. You don't even have to look at the books. That's a whole other subject. You start talking about like Isaac Asimov and Harlan Williams. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. These very twisted, crazy concepts that are just mind-boggling. I don't know. And the guys who write them are like crazy. Like you listen to the interviews of some of these guys. I've been like binging interviews with these like old science fiction writers, and it is crazy to hear the way they think. Like they just don't care. They give 0 Fs, man. I just totally just clicked something here. But what I'm getting at is this model. It's like why Black Mirror to me is so good, but also so bad. Every episode is self-contained for the most part. They do have some overlapping ones or sequels or whatever. But they take a concept, they make a little story around it, and the focus is on the science or the concept or the technology. It's this, what would the world be like if people had brain chips, is literally every episode of Black Mirror, by the way. But it's like, what would the world be like if, you could brainwash an army into thinking that the opposing force is monsters when in reality they're civilians? That was an episode. What would the world be like if an animated character online ended up getting so much traction that it could run for office and potentially win? That was another one. It's like these concepts that you can't explore in the real world, but you can kind of guess what they would be like, and then down the road in the future, like some of them come true, like movies and stories about landing on the moon, and then later on we landed on the moon, supposedly. I'm just kidding, guys. But you get what I'm saying, where it's episodic. Rick and Morty had that formula where it would take a funny concept. It was a lot like the Star Trek model, where it was a cast of characters that had development over the course of a season, but they would do little self-contained things. It's go to this planet and do this, and go here and do this. That's where I think The Mandalorian really suffered, because that is it's not a crazy science fiction. The thing is, the prequel movies were really more science fiction than anything, because the prequel movies were about character development, like Anakin going through what he did, And it was about the governments. You know, it was about Palpatine's rise to power, the way he manipulated people, he manipulated religion, he manipulated, you know, all these people under him. He, you know, betrayed the Trade Federation, he betrayed Dooku, and he did all of it to like execute this master plan. And it was crazy to see that unfold. And you knew at the end he was going to rise to power. Darth Vader was going to be his understudy. It's cool to see that unfold, and it sucks that modern Star Wars just doesn't take concepts to the extreme like they should. The Mandalorian would have been perfect, dude, and they started out doing this kind of thing where you go to every planet, and it's like, here's the thing. It's not just a Monster of the Week format, it's a concept built into it. And if you guys have seen any of my other stuff that I've done, this is a big reason why I'm a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fan, because every episode or two is this same idea where you deal with the same cast of characters in a new setting. They come across a character with an ability, and it's kind of like a puzzle, you know? It's like a little test for them. It deals with concepts of whatever, like what would happen if somebody could fight you inside of your dreams? You couldn't go to sleep, you know, like Freddy Krueger, but with like the weird, you know, JoJo take on it. I don't know. What would be, you know, let me just think, what would it be like if somebody had the ability to do this or this or this? It's like it's why old comic books were so good. Man, science fiction, I keep saying it over and over again, but science fiction is like in major need of a comeback, and it's kind of coming back in the form of, you know, some of these things, I guess. Like Black Mirror's got some misses, but it's got a lot of really big hits. I don't know. I just think like some kind of science fiction show where it just is like, listen, guys, this is not for, you know, this is not a fun thing necessarily. Like, there's some fun episodes, but like it's meant to make you think, you know, the things that are in these old stories, like iRobot or, you know, or Bicentennial Man, like you know, those are movies that are based off Isaac Asimov stories, and they, you know, they don't necessarily drive home the concepts because they kind of focus on other elements to make them more appealing to the masses. But, dude, you can't be appealing to the masses if you want to go all the way in. This comes back to what we were talking about with The Simpsons, where if you try to appeal to everybody, you get really stretched thin. You know, is it better to have a wide, flat foundation that can grow up over time, or is it better to have fleeting little hits, you know? Is it better to have, you know, a stretched out audience, you know, that's like, you know, you're appealing to everybody a little bit, or to appeal to one niche a lot, and then you can develop relationships with them. Back to the Disney ruins everything thing. It's just so facts, is what Eli says in the chat. Yeah, last week we were talking about how Disney just kind of took on the brands and assumed, you know, like they just kind of forced it. They were like, well, we'll figure it out, you know, or we'll take our own spin on it. And they didn't respect the fan bases is a big part of it, you know. I'm sorry, but like Star Wars and Marvel, there are a lot of female fans, but it's predominantly male. And I look at my own channel, and my own channel has a dominant male audience. And it's just how it is. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and try to force down things that I think, you know, I don't even know, because I'm doing pop culture stuff, there's not really a lot of things that I think, you know, speak to like women over men. But I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden try to start catering to an audience that I don't naturally already have. Disney tried to take their, you know, young, like you look at the shonen audience in Japan, where it's like a young teenager and up male, mostly like, I would say males aged like, do like the 18 to 30 mark, but push it down to a little bit lower, because I guess in Japan, like, younger boys are, you know, exposed to a lot more violence in a normal setting. Then again, Japan's history is like pretty wacky, so whatever. But you know, my point is, like, Disney, instead of catering to this younger male audience of, you know, kind of nerds, or like, you know, Star Wars fans, or like comic book fans, you know, the same people who like anime, the same people who like, you know, just exploring these worlds, like Lord of the Rings, all this kind of stuff. You know, they just started appealing to families and to everybody. And it's like, you're losing the kind of, like, you know, the kind of like, this is my thing, like the independence, the claiming of that that product. If Rick and Morty stopped being edgy, a lot of people would hate it, because that's what sets it apart from other shows. And yeah, that's, I guess, all I have to say about that. I don't know. I just really care about science fiction, and I would love to like do a comic series or something, but that's a future project. Speaking of science fiction, there was a movie that I saw recently called Level 16, and it's kind of scary. I mean, okay, overall, movie was not the like crazy, like it wasn't the most stellar writing of all time. It was like pretty corny at times, but you know, again, whatever. The movie was there to drive home this idea where basically these young girls, and I'm gonna put spoilers. Actually, should I say? Yeah, I'll say spoilers. But I will warn you right before I say what happens, so you can mute it or skip or whatever. But young women are raised in this facility, and they are told that they're gonna grow up and be like I don't know, like they're gonna be like adopted by a rich family. Like they're supposed to be trained to be like these elite like family members for rich elite people, to be like, oh yeah, here's my perfect daughter that me and my wife had or whatever. And it's like, nah, you didn't have that. Like you adopted her and like whatever. But it turns out that these girls who are kept inside for their whole lives, every year they progress to the next level. They are being kept inside away from the sun. They're told the air is poisonous. They're taking pills to make them sleep and suppress their emotions and things like that. And spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, they're actually being grown for their skin, and rich people come in and have their skin literally taken off of these young girls' faces and put on. And it's kind of creepy because there is and I'm going to put this over here. Let's look up, what's her name? Is it Kris Jenner? Yeah, this is terrifying. There's a point in the movie where the girls, spoiler alert, go down into the basement and they find their friend skinned. Her whole face is skinned off and she's dead. Now, I don't know if that would kill you, but we're going to ignore that. They find her, she's skinned, it's terrifying. And then you find out that one of the major female characters who is like enforcing all this stuff, it's this woman right here. It's her, that she actually had the surgery to have her face replaced. And it's like, dude, it's freaky. But I don't bring this up because of this, but it is related. Kris Jenner just got, this is what she looked like. Okay, obviously she's had some cheek filler, lip filler potentially. You know, those are some pretty puffy cheeks for a 70-year-old woman. You know, some wrinkling, but overall not overly crazy. She doesn't look unnatural. A lot of people who get plastic surgery mess it up. She, like, her eyebrows are like perfect too. Like, what the heck? But for like an older lady, like, dang, like she looks really good for her age. Again, obviously she's had a lot of work done, but she probably has spent a lot of money to make sure that it's good quality. This is what she looks like now. She literally like looks like she lost like 20 years, and people are saying like, dude, she's like, did she freaking get her face from like a younger woman? Did she like did she have like a child that she grew in the background? Oh my gosh, like what the heck? Like she could be the daughter of this, like this is the big picture everybody's pointing at. You know, makeup and all, but like she could be the daughter of this woman, you know? Like she could be the sister of Kim Kardashian. It's crazy. Like I'm just in awe about the technology to make this, but I'm also terrified because part of me does think that this is like from sacrificed baby stem cells or young girls' faces that have been pulled off. Yeah. Eli says in the chat, vampire. Yeah. Well, the theory that like John Lennon and Steve Jobs. Let's look this up. John Lennon and Steve Jobs are actually the same person, and when John Lennon died, he ended up becoming Steve Jobs. And you know, it's this idea that everybody's a vampire and they just take on different roles in different generations. I don't necessarily believe this one, but I do think that people will go to extreme lengths to make themselves live longer, or at least convince themselves that they can live longer, because it doesn't matter if you're 70 years old looking like this. You are going to age exponentially more, and it's all just going to melt off, dude. It costs more and more to keep this up every single year. And if she's got the money for it, whatever. But one day she's going to have a stroke, just like the rest of us, man. Another thing Eli said earlier was, the thing about JoJo is there's tons of female audience to be had there. That is true. JoJo, like, there is like a decent female audience, but I feel like anime as a whole kind of caters to both genders, and like how do I want to say this? It's like it caters to both, and it creates an environment where you can explore different shows. So like you get in and you watch your first anime, and then you're like, dang, like there's all these other ones that look cool. It's kind of like getting into, I don't know, getting into anything, like starting to eat fruit. It's like, yeah, I just started buying bananas. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy some raspberries today. And then it's like, you know what? Let's go out on a limb and eat a kiwi. And then you're like, dude, you got to try kiwi. It's amazing. And it's like, really? Like, it's like, you've never tried kiwi before, bro? It's sick. And then there are people who are like, I don't eat fruit. And you're like, okay, well, whatever. But yeah, dude, Kris Jenner, the vampire, the woman who sliced off another woman's face, like that movie with Nicolas Cage and John, what's his name? The dude from Grease. What's his name? I don't know. Something. JoJo specific. I talked to so many women through cons and personal life that obsess over JoJo. Yeah, another thing is that the characters, I feel like anime characters too, and especially JoJo characters, they are a lot more fleshed out and relatable, like they have depth to them that you don't necessarily see in other things. I mean, anime is like more writing heavy at times, but like, I could sit and tell you all kinds of things about these characters, and it's cool. It's interesting that there's a guy out there who creates these characters to the point where he like treats them like his children, in like a potentially weird but like reasonably understandable way. And he's like, people will ask him questions and he'll be like, I don't know. Like, it's like funny because like people ask my parents about me. They're like, does he like this, or does he want to do this, or is he this kind of person? And they could say a lot, but there's a lot they have no idea about. Like, what's my favorite type of cheese? I don't really even know that. Like, speaking of JoJo, there is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Iceberg Part 4 in the works right now. I have it open on my other screen, and I have 25 pages written so far. Let's see how many words is this. We're looking at 8,000 words, so we're looking at 40 minutes right now. However, it should be edited pretty quickly because a lot of it is just kind of boom, boom, boom. And I have a lot of the theories already done. A lot of the bigger ones are already done. So good news on that. I do want to do some smaller videos. I kind of want to do just like a random movie review or something. I think that'd be fun. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that. Oh man, there was a big thing I wanted to talk about this time around. And honestly, this will probably be our last topic because it's getting on 8 o'clock and I got stuff to do tonight. So let's look this up, man. I've been playing No Man's Sky, and this game is fun. I'll tell you that, man. Like it's like space Minecraft plus 3D exploration adventure game. Like you can see stuff in the distance and tag it and then go over there and dig it up. You like learn ancient knowledge and like, there's all kinds of stuff to do in this game. And as somebody who kind of finds it hard to get direction in video games sometimes, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Okay, this just happened to me. I got to confess to you guys. When I read things, I lose my train of thought. I'm very bad at juggling multiple things in my head at once. So if I'm talking and I read something, it just kind of jams me up. I just read that Eli said he likes the way of looking at Araki's relationship to his characters. I'm assuming like looking at a person with their kids. I think it is like that because Araki's like weirdly, again, I say weirdly, how about this? Bizarrely attached to the characters that he writes. And it's like, yeah, a lot of characters, like if I were to write characters, I would base them off of traits that I see in other people, or maybe even people that I know or that I've interacted with over the years. And it's just interesting to capture that. I feel like a weird relationship to my videos that I put out. It's something that I don't know. This just happened again. No Man's Sky is the gift that keeps on giving over the past 5 years. Last topic. Yes, we're going to talk about No Man's Sky in a second, but like, yeah, just like creating characters, you get kind of attached to it. I get kind of attached to my videos, and I'm like, oh, like this is where I was when I was doing this video. This is this is what I was thinking. This is where I was in my life. This is where my channel was. All this kind of stuff, So it's just cool to have like a little log of like my life, which is kind of creepy, but also kind of cool. like, I can see how some people would find it creepy, which makes me sympathize with other things that people might find creepy. Like, I don't know, obsessing over a character that you've created. But yeah, No Man's Sky, man, this game's fun. I haven't really done a ton in the game yet. I've explored a few planets. I've started gathering. Well, I didn't even get the hyperdrive yet. I've been just kind of messing around. So I need to find copper. But like, I'm really, as somebody who finds it hard to get direction in a video game, I found it really easy to kind of figure out what was going on, using the scanner to like look for basic things, using the long range scanner to track down mineral deposits and better things for, my guy. I don't know, what the cache is and the guide stones, flying around planets and stuff. Like, it's just fun. And the character customization off the bat is crazy, makes the game so much more enjoyable. Digging underground, like the terrain manipulation. I don't know. I just need to play this game a little more, man. I freaking love it. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it, guys. Like I said, go check out the BBC Vlogs channel. Editor Eli's in the chat today. We did a podcast last week. Definitely go check that out. We talked a lot about video games and movies and, well, maybe not movies, but anime and other kind of stuff. And yeah, if you like this podcast episode, you probably like that one. This is more of a kind of mishmash of current events that I care about. If you guys ever have any topics that you would like to see covered, just comment them on the previous episode. So if you want me to cover something next week, comment it on this, and yeah, I'll talk about it. If I know anything about it or care about it. It's I don't know. I like this to be collaborative, and I also want to do this weekly. I was gonna do it Wednesday, but I didn't have the time. Actually, I did have the time. I just was really out of energy, and I knew I was not going to be good on camera. So yeah, but that's really, I think that's about it, guys. So yeah, go subscribe to the main channel, and keep an eye out. Also, let me know what you guys think of the clips that I've been posting. I'm taking parts of the podcast, clipping them, reposting them so that you don't have to watch the whole episode to get my opinion on a particular topic or to just get news updates. I kind of want this to be like a little bit of like a news update where people can tune into the podcast or listen to the clips, get caught up on things, because I don't have a super in-depth take on some things, but the ones that I do, I turn into clips. So yeah. Okay, guys, that's it for this one. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace, and yeah, that's it. I keep rambling. Okay.